Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, TNA are on the go home show before the following day, Final Resolution. So anything could happen before then. As you know, we have the TNA World title, the Knockouts title, and every other title will be defended then. But what will happen before we get there? That's a good, obvious question. And of course, Ring of Honor, we have plenty of matches. We do have, of course, the ROH Pure Wrestling title on the line. Will Matt Taven finally gets the one title that has eluded him throughout his Ring of Honor career? Well, that is something we will see and talk about. And of course, but first things first, we're going to be, of course, reviewing Stardom with their finals of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. As you know, it was a fantastic ride. But the real question we ask ourselves, who will walk out as the winners? Will it be EXV's Micah and Hanako, or will it be the young stars themselves, Hanan or Sayaida? That is a good question. But however, some matches are in fact prelim matches before Dream Queendom. That is something we will also talk about as well along the way. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can even put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. I believe it's time to hit the highway. So, let's begin with our very first review, and of course, it's the finals of Stardom's Goddess Tag League. So, let's begin. Okay, Stardom. The finals of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. What a great ride. We saw some amazing tag teams, some good wins, of course. Who could forget Kurara had two good successful wins, during Tag League. But of course, matches that of course we expected how it's going to be. But however, we will talk about the winners by the end. But however, much throughout this entirety of this event, of course, are prelims to upcoming matches on the 29th of December. So this particular event took place on the 8th of November, this past Sunday, in Hamamatsu. So let's get to it and see how things will go. Our first match, we have, of course, the rookie Matoi Hamabe taking on Azuki. Now, of course, Hamabe, as you know, is a rookie. She does have the least experience. I think there are a lot of people there. Hopefully, they give her some good high expectations when she gets older. But of course, like any other type of match, Hazuki, in the other hand, is the one who picks up the one when she apply like a somewhat version of the cross, excuse me, as a crossface, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have Rana Yagami versus Waka Tsukiyama versus Koguma. Now, of course, many of you know that Rana Yagami cannot stand a Koguma. But of course, when it comes to this type of match, anything could happen. I mean, someone has to pick up the win. But unfortunately, it was Koguma who picked up the win with the Kuma roll on Yagami, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have, of course, rookie Ryan from EXV taking on the leader of Hate, Natsuko Tora. Now, you can guess that this match became a brutal match by Natsuko Tora because, in fact, this was a direct message to Maika. As you probably know, Natsuko Tora and Maika, there's some unsettled business between the two of them. But of course, it was Natsuko Tora who picked up the win with the Death Valley bomb on Rian. Now, many of you may or may not remember that it was Natsuko Tora who defeated Maika for the red belt. But however, Maika hasn't forgotten what she did by screwing her last time. So they're going to continue this little feud back into Dream Queendom. So we'll see how that rolls up. Our next match, we have Hate, consistent of Raka, Fukigen Death, Momo Watanabe. I think that's about it. They take on God's Eyes, Lady C, Hina, and Saki Kashima. So you guys can guess that, of course, much like this, Kashima hasn't forgotten how Hate, one time known as Oedo Tai, betrayed them. But however, unfortunately, this match ended with Fukigen Death applying the O'Connor roll on Hina, giving them the win for this match. Now, our next match is a 2 out of 3 falls 10-woman tag match. We have the full members of Neo Genesis. Miyu Amasaki, our current future champion, Suzuki, Azumi, Starlight Kid, and our current high-speed champion, Mei Sita. They take on the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, Sayun Ano, and Natsupoi. Now, let me explain what happened in every fall. The first fall goes to the Cosmic Angels, all thanks to Kurara when she pinned our future champion, Miyu Amasaki. This was an upset right there, folks. So, I'll get to that in a bit by the end of this match. The second fall goes to Neo Genesis when, of course, Azumi applied a double foot stomp on Aya Sakura. So the real question you ask yourselves, who walk away in the third fall? Well, that was Starlight Kid with the Black Tiger leg killer onto Natsupoi. So just like that. But however, in the post match, many of you who know this already, Starlight Kid has been pursuing the white belt for a long time. This is one of those things that, if you guys remember, she tells Azuki, hey, I challenged for the high speed belt 8 times and I lost. So stop giving me that crap with the white belt. So Starlight Kid knows that sometimes she loses, but she does not stop until she obtains the belt that she desires. So because of this match, it gives her that momentum that she could win this belt at a Dream Queendom. But that does not end there. As I said before, Kurara walked away with the win when she pinned the high-speed champion. The future champion, Miyu Amasaki. Now remember, Kurara, this is not her first time she has challenged for this belt. She has done it at the time with the former champion, Rina. So the real question is, what does she has learned from her previous mistakes? What she can learn to make it better to obtain this belt? That is something we will see until Dream Queendom. So I think that's pretty much it for this match. So let's keep moving forward. Our next match, we have a bit of a showdown between Momo Kogo and Mayu Iwatani. Now, yes, this is a Stars showdown with the leader and, of course, the wrestler who doesn't pick up the best wins or greatest wins, but she's always determined to prove herself wrong no matter what. And I think she has demonstrated in this match how much she has grown despite. Now, many of you know about her age. She's about maybe 38, 39, but she has that look of a child, if you guys notice. But that does not stop her. But Mayu Itani, we all know who she is. She is the icon. You know, she's been there since day one. But unfortunately, this match ended with Mayu Iwatani applying a dragon suplex, and just like that, she won. And of course, there was a post-match promo between the two of them. I don't know what she said, but I'm sure Mayu Iwatani has been happy for her that she has grown so much. I mean, she has not picked up the best win, but there are those that do believe she can pick up the best win. I mean, she's not Waka because Waka was a good success story, but nonetheless, we'll see how things will progress. Now, this is also our next match is a tag match, but also a bit of a prelim before the 29th. We have Hate members Konami versus and Saya Kamitani versus Suri and Tam Nakano. Now, a bit of the backstory of this match that leads us to this. Now, remember, Konami betrayed Shuri a few months ago when she was part of God's Eye because this was a long-term plan and she cost the tag belts that they had. So this lead us to that. And of course, Shuri hasn't forgotten the betrayal from her. And of course, the thing between Kamitani and Tam, well, that is, of course, another story. Remember, Kamitani used to be Tam Nakano's student until she sided with Queen's Quest, and now she has turned evil by siding with Hate. Not to mention, of course, Saya Kamitani blames Tam Nakano for last year's 5-star Grand Prix when she got injured. So basically, she blamed her for that. But she believes that she will walk out. But don't forget, she did defeat Tam Nakano before for a championship belt in Dream Queendom 2021. So we will get to see what will happen. But however, of course, the rivalry between both sides is different. So, but of course, the common cause is hate between Shuri and Tam. But unfortunately, Tam had another loss with Kamitani when she applied the Frankensteiner. But Kamitani is telling her that this will be the end of her and she will take her belt. I mean, I did state it. She did defeat Tam Nakano for the white belt last time. But the real question is, can she do it again? We'll just have to wait and see. But of course, there was a moment between Shuri and Tam that they really put their differences aside, knowing they cannot let, of course, hate to take away the red belt and do whatever they want. But we will see what happens until then. Now, our main event is the finals of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. We have Star's very own Wingori, consistent of Hanan and Saya Ida. And then, of course, we have Jaime, EXV's members of Hanako and Micah. Now, of course, Wingori has been a very effective tag team. Despite that they are the younger members of of Stars, they have shown and demonstrated. Not to mention, they have been a very effective tag team as the New Blood tag team champions. But the real question is, can they live up to their reputation when they step up their game once they win this tag league? And we have seen, of course, Hanako and Micah. They have been dominating. But the real question we ask ourselves, can they pull it off? I think the real thing that I did like about this match is Saya Ida and Hanako. Now, let's look at the dynamics. Yes, this is a female version of David versus Goliath between those two. Hanako is strong and, I mean, tall and strong. That we cannot deny. But when it comes to Saya Ida, we know she's strong. Don't let the size fool you. That's always been who she is. She knows she's in a disadvantage, but that does not stop her in anything possible. I mean, Hanako maybe be big. That we can agree. But that does not stop Ida in any way possible. I mean, there was moments we could have seen Hanako could have finished her off with the JP coaster, but it did not. But of course, it was Ida who picked up the win with a somewhat version of the Muscle Buster, and just like that on Hanako, it was over, and they are now this year's winners of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. And I feel sad for Hanako. I mean, this could have been a good highlight of her career. I mean, she's been wrestling for almost what, a year and a half or so, but I'm sure the next time she'll do better. But we will see what happens. So most likely we can see these Wingori challenge for the tag belts at December 29th for Dream Queendom. But the real question I did say, can they live up after after the New Blood tag team reign? Well, that is something we will see down the line. So for right now, we're done with Stardom. Let's move on with TNA. Okay, TNA, final go home show before final resolution. So that is something we will talk about. As you know, Moose is defending the X Division title against Kushida. Now, on note here, Kushida has never won the X Division title. We know he has aimed for it in the past, but he hasn't. But while he was doing his promo, he was interrupted by Diener. So, of course, Diener had to say what he had to say, and it ended up being in a match. Now, of course, many of you would think Diener doesn't stand a chance because Moose is sending a message that the system works in his favor. And of course, that's exactly what he did when he speared Adina, and just like that, it was over. But he's sending a clear message to Kushida. So we will see what happens until then. Now, Gia Miller conducts an interview with First Class, Casey Navarro, and AJ Francis, along with Tasha Steeles. Now, remember, AJ Francis will be challenging for the TNA World Title against Nick Bennett because AJ Francis thinks that no one can take him down. Well, let's see if we can put that to the test. But however, Tasha Steeles is aiming for the TNA Knockouts World Title, so they're going to be involved in the main event. Now, Mike Santana, as you know, he was about to do a video promo, but out of nowhere, the Northern Armory decides to get involved. You know, getting involved in his business, and of course, Mike Santana does not like it when people get involved in things like that. So we will see what happens between those two. Now, our next match, we have Rosemary taking on Zaya Brookside. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we have been noticing Rosemary, what she's been doing. But recently, last week, we witnessed her watching the match between Jordan Grace and Tasha Steele. So the question is, why? What is going on in that brainiverse? We don't know. I think Renwald is right. Do we really want to know what goes on in her head? We just don't know. What's her reasons for stalking or observing Jordan Grace? Well, we don't know. I mean, Zaya Brookside, on the other hand, we know that she is determined to win, but apparently it wasn't enough because it was Rosemary with the Azabomb to send the message right there. But however, Jordan Grace was not going to let Rosemary get away with it by sending another clear message to her, so we will see what happens at Final Resolution. Now, during a interview, Trent Seven, as you know, minding his business, was informed that he will be in a match against Ace Austin at Final Resolution. So Trent Seven, it was not a happy camper when he learned. I mean, well, he did piss people off, but we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Leon Slater and Laredo Kid taking on the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, X Division style, in my opinion. You know, I'm a big fan of the X Division in TNA for a long time. I mean, during AJ, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, those type of wrestlers. But man, it was a incredible match. But it was Zachary Wentz who picked up the win on Laredo Kid, and just like that, it was over. Now, the system does a video promo because, as you know, they will be involved in Final Resolution. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers are determined to regain the tag team belts against the Hardys in a tables match, which is, of course, one of the Hardy Boys' trademarks. So they are confident enough. And JDC, you know, the biggest dork on the planet, he has some beef with Leon Slater. So he wants to show him a thing or two. Well, we'll see about how things will go because the system are attempting to reboot in any way possible. So we will see what happens at Final Resolution. Our next match, we have Jake Something and Alex Hammerstone taking on Sammy Callahan and PCO. So these are matches where, of course, it's a hoss-fight, powerhouse, that sort of thing. However, this match ended in a disqualification by Hammerstone when he whacked PCO with the chair. So, I mean, the ref did a good call. However, something interesting has happened. Now, many of you may or may not remember, a week ago, PCO was keep saying 23, 23, 23. We don't know what that meant, but during the post-match, that number keeps appearing. So what does this mean? What is this number 23 about? Is something about to happen? Well, we don't know. So we'll see what happens until there. Now, our next match, we have Danny Luna versus Heather by Elegance. Now, as you know, Spitfire have been dealing with the Elegance, along with that chihuahua of a stooge getting involved. So basically, as you know, they've been going back and forth with this rubber match thing in singles competition. But however, thank God the referee made the right call. That idiot of a Chihuahua got caught with his hand in a cookie jar. And of course, Ashby Elegance, crying like a little bitch, could not take it. But of course, she tries to get involved. But Jody Threat took care of the problem. But it was, in fact, Danny Luna who walked away with the win. So, nice job, girl. Good job. Now, our main event is Tasha Steelz along with Casey Navarro and AJ Francis, aka First Class. They take on Say His Name and He Appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. He teams up with the current TNA Knockouts World Champion Masha Slamovich and the current TNA World Champion Nick Mena. Now remember, Tasha and AJ Francis are aiming for the champions. But however, of course, there'll be some. We did see moments between Joe Hendry and Nick Mennett, but it was Nick Mennett with the danger zone on Casey Navarro to pick up the win. And of course, all hell broke loose during the post match. Masha and Tasha Steelz, but however, AJ Francis was intending to dismantle Nick Mennett, to send him the clear that he will walk out as the TNA World Top because no one can put him down. We just will see until we put that to the test. So we will see what happens at Final Resolution. But for right now, let's end things here right now and move on with our last review, Ring of Honor. Well, Ring of Honor, as you all know, we are getting closer and closer to Final Battle, the last pay-per-view of Ring of Honor before the start of 2025. Now, as you know, Billy Starks will be participating in the International Women's Cup qualifier match. But however, she has to go through other people. Athena is one of them who interrupted her little video promo. Athena thinks that she's the one who is going to walk out. But of course, Billy Starks is looking for a bigger opportunity. So we will see how things roll out. However, throughout the entirety of the match, you can tell there's a lot of frustrations with Billy Starks. She's doing everything possible to prove Athena wrong, that she is capable of going to the top. But Athena doesn't think she is the one. She feels like, I'm the main star. But there was a moment throughout this entire match when, of course, um, Billy Starks was being dragged by Layla Hirsch. Athena took the advantage to pin Red Velvet because it was Billy Starks who made the final finisher. And just like that, Athena won, which was a very disappointing loss for Billy. Well, she was not the one who lost, but a disappointing time for her not to pick up the win. Now, we see the premier athletes, Arya Davari and Tony Nese, taking on the Outrunners. Of course, the Outrunners are a fun tag team to enjoy. I mean, I love them. But however, of course, there's a few things that the Outrunners need to deal with. Is that idiot, Smart Mark Sterling's, and the big brute, Josh Woods. That's one of the things. But of course, they thought they had the upper hand, but nope. I mean, I like how certain moments with the Outrunners, they try to do what the Hulk Hogan used to do. Remember that moment where Hulk Hogan's like, nah, you. It wasn't like that. So I felt they did that kind of a new type of way, much funner. And I thought it was good. But it was, of course, the Outrunners with the total recall on Tony Nese, but it was Turbo Floyd who actually picked up the win. Now, of course, we did see a video promo by Dustin Rhodes giving a clear message about Dutch. Now, remember, Dutch has been playing mind games because he's telling him. Dutch said that he was a better son to Dustin Rhodes, but of course, Dustin does not like when people are talking about his family in particular. So we will see what happens. Our next match, we have Madison Rayne. Many of you remember she was a TNA Knockouts champion and all that. It was great to see her. We haven't seen her for quite some time. But she took on Allison Kay. I thought the match was pretty good. It was very interesting. But it was the Crucifix Driver by Madison Rayne that picked up the win for her team. Now, as you know, recently we did see members of the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, decided to play little games about, of course, the Grizzled Young Veterans when they took their scarves. But Evil Uno was not happy about how they were acting up. And of course, Grizzled Young Veterans showed up. So Uno played the peacemaker give them back the scarves. But of course, Reynolds and Silver were like, what the hell are you doing, man? So, I don't know. Now, our next match, we have Lee Johnson taking on Teo Leona. So, I wasn't too sure how this is going to ski, but we know Lee Johnson has picked up some good wins. But when it comes to Teo Leona, we never question how is he as a singles competitor. Well, apparently he uh, did like a move that Yokozuna used to did in the past, but it was effective, and that way Leona walked out as the win. However, Leona decided to finish off Lee Johnson, but EJ and Duca showed up. So I think many fans are hoping we want to see EJ and Duca versus Teo Leona. So hopefully we can see that at some point. Now our next match we have the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team belts on the line. Gristle Young veterans defend the tag belts against MXM Collection. However, I think this was a good match because we can see, of course, MXM did a lot. I mean, they showed, yes, we like fashion, we're a bunch of pretty boys, but however, when it comes to Grizzled Young veterans, they use their unnecessary tactics, like using the scarf on Mansouri, and just like that, it was over on Mansoor, and just like that, they retained the belts, which was not good. So we will see what happened. Now, Paul White, we haven't seen for quite some time. He was in having a nice discussion with, of course, Jay Lethal, who we know has been a very prominent figure in ROH and in wrestling, along with Sanjay Dutt, talking about maybe trying to elevate Ring of Honor in a new way. But however, QT Marshall along with Aaron Solo showed up to stir the pot. However, of course, QT Marshall wants to have a match against Jay Lethal at Final Battle. So we will see what happens until then. Now we do have the Sons of Texas, consistent of our current ROH Tag Team Champions, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes, taking on Eric Dillinger and Josh Crane. But I can tell you this match ended with the great combination of the JTH and, of course, Crossroads on Eric Dillinger by both Sammy and Dustin, and picking up the win. However, of course, the Righteous, once again with their usual mind games on Dustin, is really, really getting a toll on them. But we'll see what happens. Our main event, the Pure Wrestling title, is on the line. Mike Taven, as you know, he has won every title that there is, but the Pure title is the one that he has not obtained. He wants to be the first to be the one to obtain all of them. That is something that's a very ambitious match. However, he's facing a guy who has far more experience. But like any match, we have seen many wrestlers who are not too familiarized with the Pure Wrestling rules. They, in fact, ended up with, of course, losing all of the rope breaks, and that's what happened to Mike Taven. He was able to pull one on Lee Moriarty, but in the end, it was a submission by Lee Moriarty to walk away as the winner. I'm sure Matt Taven will go back to the drawing board to make his way to win the Pure Wrestling title, so we will see what happens. Now, we did see the ROH World title contract signing between Jericho and Matt Cardona, so we will see what happens. Of course, any other type match moment, like, of course, contract signings, all hell break loose, and that's what happened. So the obvious question is, will the outcome be Matt Cardona becomes the Ring of Honor World Champion? Well, we will see until then. But for now, let's just wait and see. So let's finish off our episode, of course, with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates, but for this particular part of the episode, we're going to focus on upcoming events. Now, as you know, we are at the almost near the end of 2024. Certain events have been announced for 2025. Our first one, of course, as you know, West Coast Pro will be doing the Only the Strong Survive on the 10th of January of 2025. They announced Alpha Zoe will be there to participate. And then, of course, the following day, on the 11th of January of 2025, MLW will have the Kings of the Coliseum. Now, this is a very interesting match that I'm really, really invested on. Atlantis and his son, Atlantis Jr., will take on Blue Panther, and teaming up with his son, Dark Panther. Now, many of you may probably ask me, why am I invested in this match? I'll tell you why. Many, many years ago, when I was just a kid, the first CML match I ever watched was between Atlantis and Blue Panther. That was an incredible match for me. Atlantis was my absolute favorite as a kid. And they had a great rivalry, and that match was won by none other Atlantis. It was a championship match. But I do remember in a later time, Atlantis got hurt because he was in a match that involved Blue Panther. But now it's like history repeats itself between these two men now teaming up with their sons. So you ask yourselves, can we see some kind of rivalry between those two that way? I mean, we could. I mean, I don't know how many children Atlantis has, but Blue Panther has three sons, and they all took the mantle as well. But we will see how that goes. And as for our last thing on upcoming events, as you know, every year we have the Collective. They'll take place during WrestleMania time, but this time, as you know, it will be in Las Vegas, and it will take place between April 17th through the 19th. However, as you know, in the Collective, two companies have announced they will participate. That will be Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling and DDT. So that's going to be interesting. Now, we don't know who will participate. I'm sure that we will get there by the time it's been announced. So I'm looking forward to it. So for now, I think we are done with everything. So there are no developments whatsoever. But let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you probably know, we will do AEW Rampage. We probably will be we're almost close in finishing up with, of course, ending Rampage real soon, and of course we have NXT Level Up. Now I haven't decided yet what other events I should review, but as we speak, we do have, of course, Mighty Gold, and this one features, of course, two championship matches, the tag belts and the world belt. So we don't know yet about everything else, but I'm looking forward to it. But for now, let's just say I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.